If you want to go into Africa and from the word Afrikia, which is Arabic,
the origin of the racism.
what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But the English determining that gives you divided.
A couple of good questions.
You understand? From the Latin or whatever, blah blah blah, to give you right.
Exactly.
So where are you at?
So what Africa are we talking about?
Where are you at? I'm using the word translated from Arabic. Okay, but man know the history of the word. You know what I'm saying? Some people will make that claim, oh, Africa, why? Don't call yourself African. Stop all that. It's a point of reference. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Is there not a greater point of reference?
Yeah. But some people,
is there not a more fundamental point of reference that we maybe should use? Because if we focus on the differences, it doesn't really make things better, No,
it's not about making things better. It's observation. Now, this is an observation of history and things that have gone on, right? We know that through history there have been many dictators and so on, so and so. So sometimes, through that, we can learn that actual absolute force doesn't always work.
Doesn't work at all.
Doesn't work. Thank you.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We've had Hitler, we've had Alexandra, we've had so many.
So we need to understand it.
Right. So my point to him was that throughout European history, this has been the case. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, he can make the claim.
Only Europeans.
Exactly. This is my point.
But
no.
My question to you is,
say,
why would that be the case? Is there something different about Europeans?
There must be, because they have a system. They have a system of savagery. Do you get what I'm saying? That we don't have. Remember, we've always been civilized, and we are the civilizers.
We all have a savage nature, man. All of us.
There's an element of truth to that.
We all have the capacities. We feel the drive of violence within us. All of us do.
Okay, no problem.
Some nations took it to another level.
Exactly. So my point is, within your own diaspora, it's fine. You can have civil wars and blah blah blah, tribal and whatever,
makes it
right?
fine inside of your own diaspora.
I'm saying when man are exporting it, this is what they're exporting. They're not selling anything. They're not coming with grapes and all of them type of things. They're coming with the sword and violence. And they sack people and they burn places down. You get what I'm saying? Whether it be Roman, whether it be, you get what I'm saying?
What makes it okay in your own...
One second. The entire history is based on that. Violence and blood, skullduggery, murder, all of that type of thing. Genocide.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, you focused a lot on the negative here. Could you tell me any positive that come out of this landmass you're talking about? Let's call it landmass.
Oh, Europe.
Yeah, whatever you call it.
Right. Any positives?
Yeah, any positive, just so I know that you've looked at both sides of the argument.
For me, I would say no, because everything, is not original to here. For example, everything has been robbed and taken. Other people's natural resources is why we benefit here today now. So I can't agree with that. We are complicit, you know what I'm saying, unbeknown to us, because we support the government, we support some of us. Anyway, some of us don't. But I'm saying we support the lifestyle that we live.
So
we can buy cars, watches, all that type of stuff. But we're not realizing where all the basic materials came from and who suffered and died for those things that you have on your body or your feet or your... You get what I'm saying? So in a sense, we have to... If you ask me that question, as you asked me that question, I have to say no. Do you get what I'm saying? Because everything is based on something negative. Why we're at this point now.
Now the next question would be, okay, now we've established that there is no positive, there are murderers, killers. Now, could you give me a framework or a group of people that did the contrary, that did the complete opposite? So that we can establish both sides of the argument.
What do you mean, as in...
the country. That haven't based a society based on killing, murdering, pillaging, as you said.
Bunch of people.
Or based on force.
A lot of Africans.
No, but African is so diverse. Be more precise.
Give me a tribe.
Give me a tribe, give me a dynasty, because then we can understand if it is possible.
You could say Egyptians, you could say the Nubians.
Egyptians fought a lot of wars, man. Egyptians fought a lot of wars,
towards the end, but how long were they about for?
Egyptians had slavery.
I think you're coming at it from the wrong angle.
Was there a golden age in Egypt? Was there a golden age in Egypt?
I imagine so.
Right, so a golden age denotes there was complete peace along the region, or anything they owned.
I don't think that's right.
So they haven't had that in Europe. You understand? At no time. You had dark ages, all sorts of ages, but you never had no golden ages. So drop me out.
You know, Egypt is a
Drop
much
me out, I'm saying,
smaller
bro.
part of land than the old
Right now,
world.
their golden age.
It's a much smaller
The age of
geographical
capitalism
location.
and all of these type of things, you're saying is a golden age.
Well, their goal, not my definition. Their definition of a golden age.
Okay, it's their
My
definition of a
definition,
golden age,
obviously, I
and they even know,
Who are they
and
exactly?
they even know,
We need to have
Oh,
a
he's understanding.
they even know it's
I
not good
don't
enough. They even know it's not good enough. Everybody's complaining about the environment and the society that we live in
Maybe
and
we
the
should
systems
appreciate
that are in place.
There are
understand?
things to appreciate.
Yeah.
But because it says capitalist, it doesn't sound that violent, it doesn't sound that negative. No. You know what I'm saying? Because it says fascist on one side or socialist on the other side, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem that bad. But the reality is, it's not based in anything positive.
I get what you're saying, but you know the other side of the argument would be that the Africans are not making it easier for themselves, isn't it?
Why?
Huh?
Well, how
I
does
don't know,
that
like,
mean?
let's explore that idea, innit?
Well, if you've been colonized, if somebody's come and moved into your front room, you know what I'm saying? And now he's telling you he wants the remote control for your TV. You know what I'm saying? It's his house. Can you make him some breakfast and a cup of tea? Do you know what I'm saying? This is the exact thing that's happened to us. We were colonized, you know what I'm saying? And then given fake independence to assume that we're free, but it's more colonization. Systems that are left, that are the education system in our country, the governmental system, which is European, it's not African. So the federal government of Nigeria is a European construct. You understand?
Okay, so what you're saying to me right now is that as much as it's perceived that Africa is free, Africa is not free.
Never been.
Okay, that's
Even
never
before the
been.
Europeans colonized it.
Never been.
It's never been
Even-
free.
he
So
said
who
that
was
even till
colonizing
today,
it before the
Africa is still
Europeans?
not free.
We weren't being colonized before
By
you
who?
came along. We weren't being colonized. We weren't being
Oh,
colonized.
but you said you'd never be.
We weren't being colonized.
No, you
You know what I'm
just
saying?
you said it
No,
has never
man, don't
been
make
like
excuse
that.
for your people, bruv. It is what
My
it is,
people.
bruv. It is what it is. Colonization is colonization. We can't argue about it. We just
I
saw
got
it
a
with
question
our own
for you.
eyes.
Should I judge you for the actions of somebody else that looks like you?
You could.
No,
That's
I
down to
shouldn't.
you. That's
No, I
down
shouldn't.
to you, man.
It's
Is it
ridiculous
reasonable
argument.
to make that
That's not
judgment?
how it works.
As I said,
but
we're
you have to
all
understand- you have to
complicit.
understand
We're all
why he's saying
complicit,
what he's saying.
unbeknown. You know what I'm saying?
In the
So,
modern day, if it's happening
some
in
of
the
us,
modern
no,
day,
I would
idea.
say some of us, like yourself, we're all complicit because we live here and we have to abide by certain rules. You understand? The government, the blah, 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 blah,
Right.
or whether it's here or Ireland or wherever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? So, what I'm saying is, and as I said, the reasons why we're all complicit, right? But
So
it
what do
still
we do?
doesn't change the circumstance.
what do we do now then?
No,
if
well-
what you're saying is true,
Well, the first thing, it could be, you could, like, the idea of reparations.
is that going to help?
Everybody deserves reparations, whether it's Greek, whether it's thing. There are many European societies that these people have stolen from. They've taken all their natural resources and blah, 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 and left them fake titles and fake independence
Right.
and blah, blah, blah. And then even when the kingship structure breaks down, they will come here to live. You understand?
I
The
know.
old king of Greece from 1950s and blah, blah, blah. How many
Yeah.
did they sack consecutively? Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Or were exiles and blah, blah, blah. So we understand how the system of this country works.
But basically, what you're saying is, the world is controlled by a particular group of people,
Right.
and peace can never be attained unless the modern social construct is eradicated.
There you go.
Maybe
That's
peace
what I
can never be
There you go,
attained.
brother. Yeah, that's
I'm
exactly
with
So
you.
what
you're
I'm saying.
basically
I
saying we
don't
are
think
at
it,
war
I
even
don't think it
till
would
now.
be good anyway. It's
Yes.
complex.
In a sense,
We
yeah.
need conflict.
Whose peace? When you say peace, whose peace is going to be attained?
That's subjective as well, isn't it? What
Good
is
point.
peace? My piece is different. Different to well,
You
some
see?
people here.
You
Even
see?
me, my piece is different.
So how,
Yeah, go on.
how is this way of looking at the world? Because in my perspective, it's a perspective. How is this going to help? How is this going to improve anything? How is
I
it going to
think-
help something?
For me,
You know what I mean, because maybe everything you're saying is true, man.
I think-
But what do we do from there? Because it's really just a second, bro. Just one second, please.
yeah.
It's really dangerous because I've had these type of conversations before, and it seems to indicate that Caucasians, white people, Europeans are somehow different at the fundamental level,
No,
and that can only go
that's not-
one way.
that's not true.
It only goes one way. Bad.
Remember, sorry. There's only one thing that is constant out here. There are the hierarchy, do you get what I'm saying? And there are us, the people. Do you get what I'm saying? So the people come in all varieties, don't they? Do you get what I'm saying? They know no colour. And these people in the higher echelon also know no colour in the sense of they come in all varieties. whether they be a leader of Nigeria, Zimbabwe,
So
blah,
it's the
blah,
nature
blah.
of people,
It's a gang.
right?
The nature of people,
Right.
yeah.
It's
So
the
now,
nature of
So it's not just that they're European.
So no, it's not just that they're European,
That
but
holds no significance.
but then
That holds no significance. You're not fighting skin, you're fighting an idea.
you're fighting an idea.
Yeah, I don't. It depends on what
But
you
the
understand of what
majority,
evil is.
but the majority of the people have that hue, or have, or don't. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Are Europeans. So that's why I say Europeans, because it's a European
Wait,
country.
do you know a guy called Leo Mohammed? I was here a month ago.
Yeah.
You know, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've heard of him as well? Okay. Okay, someone like Leo Mohammed,
Funny character.
Right.
he has this very, I don't know if it's real, I haven't done my research
Right.
in what he believes in,
Right.
but when he paints the picture of what the white man is to him,
Yeah.
but he scares the daylights out of you, yeah?
Right.
What I'm saying to you, do
devil,
you,
right?
but he scares the daylight out of me. I look behind my shoulder. But now, look, my question to you is do you agree with Leo Mohammed? I haven't done my research. Are you on the same?
No, I
you on that?
think a lot of it is biblical. You know what I'm saying? Biblical and Quranic and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because the idea that the devil or Shaitan has his own children, his own seed. He will have his own seed. Now, we know this seed to be these supposed Ashkenazim or Khazars and blah, blah, blah. We do not assign it to the rest of Europe. Yeah.
Shouldn't assign it to anyone, man.
No. We do not assign this to the rest of the Europeans. You know what I'm saying? We can specify who are
It's only the
the
Ashkenazis.
devil's. Yeah.
Somebody thought that before.
Amongst the crowd.
Right.
Guys, it's a real dangerous idea, man.
So,
We're all just human.
You know
man.
why?
These are all
You
just
know why
ideas.
it's a dangerous
why-
idea?
you know why-
No,
you know why I don't
one
agree
second.
with the
One
whole
second.
Europe.
No, let me
One
speak.
second.
This is
One second.
fine.
One second.
This is
You know why it's a
don't think
dangerous idea? You know why it's a dangerous idea? Because if I say something, they will say I'm being what? Anti-Semitic, yes? I mean,
they
what
might say
other
that, yeah.
people have that
There's a
power?
slight possibility.
What other people are in authority financially and every sort of aspect to do with finances of every single country?
If they're that powerful, what could we do about it?
There's nothing you can do about it. They're in control.
Right, so
So
why
if
are you
I
saying what you're
highlight,
saying?
if
What's
I
your
highlight, it's kind of coincident that the devil's seed is in control.
So what do you have to
I
gain
don't
by
think
saying
so,
what
I
you're
think,
saying?
Huh? What, sorry?
I don't know what you said.
Yeah,
so,
go on.
man, you know what I think? Yeah? I think that I'm a strong believer in. I believe that the son does not hold the sins. That the son does not burden the sins of his father. Yeah. In today's world, yeah, I believe it's my belief. Yeah. I believe that, let's say, white people. Yeah, I believe that they know what they did wrong. Innit? Yeah. I whatever that wrong is. Yeah,
I didn't do anything. Just
Exactly.
say it.
no,
This is the whole point.
No, but I started off by saying that the son does not the son does not burden the sins of his father.
Yeah.
I know,
Meaning that
I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
the language is important.
100%. But just let me finish it. Meaning it that whatever his forefathers did, it's not this guy. I mean, the white man. Like, it's not their fault in the sense that.
I'm not saying it's the white man. I'm saying it's
that-
Jews.
You kind of
This
said
guy's
it was the
probably
white
where you
man
from,
a while
sorry?
ago.
Sir?
Scotland.
Thank you. This man has been oppressed. You know what I'm saying? This guy.
Everybody's oppressed, man.
No, hold on. 1 second.
oppressed
This
by
guy.
Ask for reparations
This
of the
guy-
Jews, man.
What? Scottish needs reparations. Should have reparations.
no,
You know what I'm saying? In a sense.
It's not going to help us, man.
When it was Longshanks and all of them type of. Anyway, long story short, yeah. As I said, even us on a low level are all one, innit? We're just people. You understand? The people in authority, the hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? Majority of them being European, yeah, who also put in world leaders in these African countries as puppets. You know what I'm saying? So that means, thank you, our leaders are also complicit. That means colour is not the issue. That means they created the idea of racism. Do you know what I'm saying? As a construct for them to sit back and like, you lot concentrate on that because obviously with racism and all of these other things like crime and blah, 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 do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who benefits? If we decided, listen, you people out here who are criminals, back off for one day. Take a day off, a public holiday. You understand? Who is hurt by that? Is it not police? Is it not the CPS? Is it not the judges and the lawyers and all of the people that surround crime? So they say crime doesn't benefit, but it doesn't benefit the criminal. It benefits the system. You understand?
The criminal is the
that's,
victim.
that's only one aspect of the society we live
Truly,
in.
the
Do you know what I'm
criminal,
saying?
the murder, the gangster, they are the victims.
They're the victims,
They're the victims,
in a
exactly.
sense. and the one who benefits, do you know the kind of treatment you get if you're American? Do you understand? They look after you. I don't know what. You know, like, you go to prison, yeah, but you'll be in the best cell, you'll have TV, you'll have
Free stuff?
and blah, 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 lots of stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is the whole point. Exactly.
That's kind of
and
weird,
even
isn't it?
with gangsters, I'm telling you, when they get in the police station, they're treated with the utmost respect. You understand? Because you're putting money in my pocket. You're paying my wages.
It's a mutually beneficial
It's a
cycle.
mutually beneficial cycle. Exactly.
That's
Do you
right.
get what I'm saying?
No, I see that.
Yeah, so as I'm saying, so the hierarchy or the aristocracy or whatever, do you get what I'm saying? The followers of Aristotle, this is another story, but
Yeah, right.
yeah. So exactly, you know what I mean? Us, the common people, the normal people, yeah, are not all complicit in the actions of said forefathers, but it's not all everybody's forefather necessarily.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to say I agree with it, but I do know what you're saying.
Yeah, but this is why I can specify and say these Jews, these Ashkenazi, yeah, are the main threat. You know what I'm saying? These are the main threat to everybody. Yeah, this is the only group that you can't join. You can become a Muslim, you can become a Christian, but can you become a Jew? No. You're supposed to only be born a Jew. You're supposed to only have the Colonial gene or whatever.
Sorry,
you know
but
what I'm
have you
saying?
ever heard of the notion of siege mentality? You know what it means?
Yeah.
Could
I know
you tell
the
us
idea.
what it means by any chance?
Well, you kind of, you know what a siege has to, you have to have a fort or a castle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? And then you're in there, do you know what I'm saying? And, you know,
Basically,
they're trying to get in.
You always feel like someone's attacking you.
Right.
You're
But
You
bound.
always
put your
feel
defenses
like
up.
you are being under attack, and
That's
thus
how
you
they
need to
feel.
unite against this common enemy who's besieging you.
But the funny thing is about siege, yeah? The whole idea, as I said, about castles and moats are systems that we brought. You understand?
Systems that?
That we brought as Africans into Europe.
How did you
understand?
bring them?
So, of course, we built these structures. This is what we're trying to say. We
When?
built these
Where-
castles
where's the-
and blah, blah, blah.
where's the historical-
Remember moats?
historical evidence?
Remember the moat? Remember the idea of a moat? Yeah? What was in a moat? You get me?
Different things.
Crocodiles, yeah?
You could have if you wanted.
Right. No, I'm just saying.
Depends on the place.
Yeah?
You can't have crocodiles everywhere.
Right, you can't have crocodiles everywhere, but you can have crocodiles if the people who were doing it were the original
I
people doing
never,
it. So,
ever, through
that just
all
shows
of my
you
reading
it
of
was
history,
us.
never
You know
ever
what I'm saying?
heard of a moat
Why
with
does that matter?
crocodiles
That
in
was
it.
you.
What?
Why does it matter that
Because
it
he's
was
talking about
you?
siege mentality.
No, but in the sense that
So
no,
maybe-
let me rewind. You said that it was us who bought this, us who did this. Why does that matter? The fact that it was you that did it.
Yeah.
Whoever you.
So I'm giving you
Right.
the concept.
Okay,
So
okay.
if you could come up with
What does
something,
that
hold
build
on,
when, when
wait.
you own something? Like, why do you say that? I
So
want
if
to
you can
understand
build a fort, yeah, then you understand siege mentality better than anyone, yeah? Yeah.
100%.
No,
Right, so that's what I'm
I want to
saying.
say to you, like,
Yeah. So
if-
we've built all the
if you do
castles,
something-
most of the castles in Europe.
You say,
know
what does it
I'm
matter
saying?
if we
someone
do-
want to refute me? You're gonna be a long time trying to do what you're doing. But the reality is, no. We built most of these forts, castles, blah blah blah, and a lot of times in history, what you're hearing are people reconstructing them.
You're saying it was them that did it.
Not saying that it was them was doing it, but reconstruction was being done, and people would assume that person built it.
You know,
understand?
you're saying-
but it was already there.
You're saying
Just
what
like
does
the
it matter?
moorlands. The moorlands relate to us as Moors. You get what I'm saying?
I
But
don't know anything
you
about
can't make moorlands, can you? Exactly.
Unless
So
you're
this
more
is the
You
you
can't
know,
make
the
more
Moors
than-
of Scotland. You get me? We was everywhere, man.
Then
Everywhere.
you're saying, what does it matter?
But who's we though?
Wait, one second, bro.
You mean,
Black African people want to you, bro.
but my understanding of Africa is at least
what?
some
Wait.
tribes.
You
Okay.
know,
And it's a big lamb. What tribe are we talking about?
Because listen, it could
Because
be
it-
any. It could be any one of them.
Be any.
Because the problem
I don't see the world from. Look, I don't see the world from the concept of colours.
but the European did. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
European,
but that's what I'm saying. That's
European-
That's your mind.
no, the European. I'm a European. I'm a.
No,
the
but
Europeans.
the way you speak is from a European glass.
The European said, yeah, at one stage we were Moors. You understand? All of us across the diaspora.
And what did the
anyone that they
Moors? What
saw.
did the Moors say about themselves?
Bro, they didn't call themselves Moors, did they? You know what I'm saying? It's a description. You understand? Blackamoor, Noor means black. So anyway, so there's another time where it said Ethiopian. They all called us Ethiopian no matter where we were from on the continent. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those terms that they do. They use these words to describe us generally. through history. You understand? And that's all it is. So I agree with you in the sense that it should have been more specified. Yeah, what tribe was it exactly? What tribe was it exactly? They would never do that. They would never do that in the
Because
sense.
they don't see it like that. Meaning, even till today, when you fill the application form, it's black, white, Asian. It's so.
It's a badge I made. It's
No,
based
that's
on
just
the
legalese.
Ukrainian
No,
trident.
but you understand what I mean?
The
It's how-
Ukrainian
no, but
trident.
them things
It's a
how
symbol
they
of power.
view black,
And in the
white,
middle it has the something I call the mirror eye
But
of
as I'm
God,
saying,
which is
I
the
don't
ability
see
of
the world like that. That's
self-understanding.
what I get confused.
Ukrainian.
I don't see the as I was saying earlier. To me, colours.
There's a lot of stuff going on over there at the
All I
moment.
see is variety.
There's a
People
war
have an
going on
issue with
there at the
variety.
moment.
Is it?
I don't have an
Still?
issue with variety.
It's
I see
not on the
world
TV.
From a tribal
Because people don't give a shit.
Listen,
that's just me,
Africa has always had an open
People
doors
do give a
policy
shit, but
when
they
it comes to
don't
that type of
Nah,
thing.
people don't
This
really
is why colour was
Well,
never an issue.
People don't give a shit about others.
It was never an issue in Africa.
Is that why you left?
You can recorded history, blah
Well,
blah
I
blah.
left
All sorts of people
before the
coming
war
in,
began.
coming in. You can't
I
come
left
in
because the
if
economic
you know what I'm saying.
situation is
Because it
not so
wasn't a
great. I
case
left
of
because I was looking for
we
better
conquered
opportunities.
these man and
you
now
find
we're
better
here. No,
opportunities?
it was always a
Yes,
case of
I
caravanning
still
in,
haven't
blah
left
blah
this
blah, like
place,
the
have
Hittite
I?
or the
How long
Hyksos.
ago-
This is
how
how
long
the
did you
Celts
leave?
came along.
How
Because the
many
Celts
years ago?
are the
A while.
Hyksos, and they left out, travelled through Europe, ended up
I like this
in
place.
Scotland, Wales, and England. You know what I'm saying? So we can track movements of Europeans, at different times, and have evidence that matches up all those stories as they travel through Spain and blah blah blah. You've got Celts all over. Do you get what I'm saying? Especially in northern Spain. Do you get what I'm saying? And then into what we're calling into Galatia.
So
or
if we
they
all
became
had
Gauls.
the same origin,
I'm gonna tell you about yourself.
then what's the
You want to learn?
difference?
Yeah, I'll teach you about Ukraine. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, guys. I'll leave you to the conversation now. The only thing that I have to say now is just one quote: "We lose kings." That's the only thing I have to say to this. The only thing I can say to this
I
conversation.
just
kind of-
cringed.
I know.
The only thing I can say about this.
Say that again.
You was
Good luck.
kings. You was kings. King. He said he was a king. They were kings.
It's a
He's a
derisive comment.
cultural appropriation is a lot in this part.
We were kids and he left.
Yeah, cultural appropriation is a lot. I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta remember the baby. He's the baby of the family, man.
Other people's culture.
right. Yeah.
So basically saying that's what black people do right now. I don't know the argument.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
But it's obviously it's a logical fallacy because history or his story, you get me, history is always told by the victors.
Although
100%, but
there might be a thing you could say with that is that if you potentially say that we invented everything, it kind of gives that statement justification, right?
No, we don't say
If you
that.
say, well, you made that, we made it first.
No,
That's
we
why
don't.
people say that.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
in a sense,
I don't think
you've
that's
got
the
to
right way of
understand.
looking at it.
You've
Well,
got
me
to
neither,
understand.
but-
If we're the
the right
oldest
way of
people,
looking at it is that
if we're the oldest people on the planet, right, and we populated the whole planet, who are the first Europeans?
But we're all the same then, right?
No, who are the first Europeans? Us.
no, but I don't. As I said, to you, I don't follow.
Oh,
I don't
dear,
follow
oh,
that.
dear.
I
I
don't
think
follow
you'll
that
have
narrative.
to agree.
I don't
You're
follow
gonna
that
catch up
narrative.
one day. You're gonna catch up one day
I don't
because
follow that narrative.
people and structures that we built, like Stonehenge and all of these type of things, that relate to places and situations in Africa. The winter and the summer solstice. We don't have seasons, do we? Right. So the winter solstice in Stonehenge, there's this thing where the moon reflects at a particular night. You know what I'm saying? To start the winter solstice, right? And that represents the flooding of the Nile. So this is my whole point. This is an 8,000-year-old supposedly structure. Do you know what I'm saying? That references part of its yearly ceremonies with the Nile. Do you know what I'm saying?
So you're saying you're Egyptian?
No, I'm saying those people who built the structures are Egyptian.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. So that's my point. So who are the first people in Europe? Because everybody's gonna come after. Even them,
so where did
who
the-
as Celts.
where did the Europeans
Sorry,
come from?
even as
Again, I'm kind of.
I'm saying, even as Celts, they're gonna come. They're gonna come via Egypt.
So even they came from.
Some people came from Egypt. Some people came from Egypt. Some of them came from Egypt. So
in essence,
we
we're
can
the same people.
we can specify those people. You know what I'm saying? Because we keep records, innit? So it's not a case of them and not them. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Ashkenazi Jews never existed in the time of the Celts or the thing. They never existed. Yeah. There's this 1300s. You understand? That the first Khazars came up and they were on horseback. They lasted for about 13 or 15 years, yeah, of their little reign, and then it was subdued. Then you don't hear nothing of them because they infiltrate and go into different parts of Europe. You get what I'm saying? Or the Mediterranean as well. And become those people. This is the problem. This is why modern Greeks are not like ancient Greeks. Or modern Italians are not like ancient Italians. Or Sicilians.
Well, all populations change over time, man.
Because we fade.
But we interbreed. We travel around.
It's only through mixing. So only when you mix is there any changes. Otherwise, people are generally going to stay the same.
No, I don't agree. I don't say mix. I'll say education, but I'll say
What, education? What do you mean? That makes them change.
100%.
What, look or
Change
appearance?
their mind. You
Change
mean
their mind.
Oh, okay, change their minds. Okay,
I don't think
I can
mixing is the only answer because I think education comes first before you mix.
Well,
I'll
not
say that's
really.
phase one.
As I said, when you're taking over, you get me? When you're taking over, sometimes the way we did it was educational. You get what I'm saying? Like we would go over, conquer them. You get what I'm saying? Kill all the men. You know what I'm saying? Breed all the women. The children we would educate. We would stay there for about 600 years. So until the whole place was darkened. You get what I'm saying? That's like an ethnic cleansing. You get what I'm saying? But a good one. You get what I'm saying?
Why the
Because
good one?
originally they were like that.
Man, oh man, you're the
I'm not
funny.
into prisoners of
That's
war
some
and
crazy
all of that
banter,
type of
bro.
thing. You get me? They
Sorry.
weren't. Sorry,
What
I
you're talking about is very similar to the same concept of white supremacy. Where you just said black supremacy. It's the same concept.
Well, there's no such thing as black supremacy and such tomorrow. But
You just said to do cultural genocide
and
and
it's
the
a
good
black-
one.
not cultural
Come on,
genocide.
man.
Is it cultural genocide?
Or actual literal genocide, sorry, not cultural. Because you would kill
but
the people.
Do they write it like that in history?
Why would you support something like that?
You know what I'm saying? Would they write it? Do they write it like that in history? But that's what actually happened. I'm telling you what actually happened. Yeah. But they don't write it like that in history. They just say the Moors took over Spain or took over. You don't know the details. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, yeah, I know some of the details, so I'm explaining it to you. And now all of what? I'm not. No, I had nothing to do with it.
We're not
But,
saying
yeah,
you're wrong.
I'm telling
but
you
saying that it's a
how-
good thing.
how
It's
people
contentious.
brought people back. You know what I'm saying? Because they were that complexion originally, and then other people, Europeans or blonde hair, blue eyes, coming from the north,
But I don't
come
believe
in.
that either.
What? Sorry?
I don't believe that certain people are one complexion.
Certain people are one complexion.
Yeah,
Like,
like there was one defining complexion
so originally.
originally. Yeah. Okay, if you from a religious point of view, yeah, we believe that there was Adam and Eve, right? Some will say that Adam was a black man, right?
Yeah.
Some will say that, right?
Yeah.
And some will say that his children were not just black. Like he had white kids,
Right.
black kids, mixed race kids, off hair,
Right.
skin. I mean, he had different varieties of children,
Right.
right? So where am I going?
Where does the Europeans
Yeah,
come
it's just, I mean, yeah. So the concept of what, so the fact that you're not, what I'm trying to say is that you're not fight. It's not more of a you or me thing. It's basically people saying this way of looking is the right way. This way of looking is the wrong. I don't know how to explain it.
I think it's more to do with the systems in place.
Yeah,
Remember I
yeah,
said the
yeah,
system.
yeah, yeah.
So
Skin
the
colour
sin
is dictated by the sun, basically.
Really?
The closer you are to higher temperatures, is the darker your skin's going to be for protection. Here we're in the northern part of the globe, so people have developed their skin colour is lighter. It's as simple as that.
Do you think?
That's it.
Well, it's a genetic adaptation to the environment.
Exactly.
We covered it at the start of the
No,
convo.
we can accept that to some
certain
extent, yeah. But okay.
No, it's not to some extent. It's simple.
But we're kind of glossing over the part where you said that it was done by the good guys.
Yeah, it was
What
done
do
by
you
the
mean,
original.
man?
I mean,
What do you mean?
obviously,
How could genocide be a good thing? Can it be a good thing?
He didn't
well,
say
it's
that.
not really genocide, as I said.
remember.
It's not. It's not.
Saying that the more genocided people.
Yeah?
He said that the more genocided people.
He's saying the most genocide.
No, I'm
people.
saying what you
I'm
said.
saying-
my
I'm
friend.
saying
what he said.
It's
I'm saying
on the
the actual
camera.
process.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, of what was going on. So
He's saying that when they did it, meaning they, the blacks, did it and darkened the land.
yeah, darken the people.
Darkened the land.
Of South Europe, Southern Europe.
Yeah.
Darkened the land is
Yeah.
more or less exactly what white supremacists did. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
There are some
I
parallels. I
don't-
don't say it's exactly the same.
It's,
but
don't know
I'm saying
about-
it's the same ideology and same principle.
That's what you're saying.
Because you're saying
Am I
raping and
saying
pillaging.
anything? That's what he just said, isn't it?
I mean, you're.
It'd be convenient if I said it.
No,
So
but
you're saying
looking
what
at
the
it-
Moors did in Southern Europe.
I don't know anything about the
is
Moors.
right.
I'm saying about what he told me about
might
the
be
Moors.
So it sounds similar to
It sounds very
what
similar.
Europeans did in Africa. Is that
What
what you're saying?
Africans did in.
What Africans did in Southern Europe is similar to what Europeans did in Africa.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what he was saying.
That's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Right. So what
I'm
I'm saying.
telling you
Something
about
about
person. I'm saying in history.
Who's them man? Wait, I didn't know I was supposed to be talking to somebody. Sorry, I thought that was.
The Zimbabwe thing still.
They say in history.
But wait, let me tell you something.
They said in history.
I did.
Right. They don't claim it to be genocide in history. You
Yeah.
understand? They don't claim it to be genocide. They don't think. But I gave you a breakdown
Right.
of certain processes of how people got back to looking dark skin or olive or whatever, blah blah blah, after being European. Do you get what I'm saying? They were not originally European. They also were mixed into, yeah. But us coming back onto them, do you get what I'm saying? To our people, do you get what I'm saying? We've mixed. This is how we did it. You get me? We didn't take prisoners of war like the men and say, yeah, we're going to sell them and did it. We didn't do that. You get me? And we bred your women, do you get what I'm saying? And raised our children. Remember, education was
Funny
your
how
thing.
you're smiling,
One
eh?
second.
This is mad,
Education.
you know, like, I don't know
Remember,
I don't know how to take this.
remember, you said
smiling.
education was your thing. So,
100%.
to be
Because
somewhere
when you change a
600
nation, you must
years,
educate.
thank you. This is
It
my whole
starts with
point.
education.
Because you've left the women without husbands, you understand? So now you have to assume that role in most cases. So that's your wife now, and these kids are your children. So you're going to educate them. So it's a different type of, ethnic cleansing, if you want to say. Do you get what I'm saying? That it doesn't involve raping and pillaging and like the Europeans.
But you kill all
So
their men.
everybody
You're
has
saying,
that.
you're saying because
war.
because
What do
you
you mean?
rape
It's war. What are you going to do? We're going to take prisoners of war? No.
So what you're saying is because
You know what I'm saying?
because
Depends on the circumstance.
It depends on the circumstances and the mindset.
because you're saying because they took the women or married or procreated with them
Yeah.
and had kids with them,
Yeah.
it is different to what the Europeans did
Yeah.
or white supremacy did.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that.
So they didn't have slaves. You looked after them and raised. Okay, I get what you're saying.
They went and sacked places.
Because if they
Romans
didn't, so what you're saying
sacked
is, wait,
places.
you're saying
Alright?
if they
Set
didn't,
places on fire.
if they didn't take the women would have died. I'm guessing, right?
Well, yeah,
Because you
there's
killed all the men, right?
Yeah, you've killed all the men.
and
Well, they
the
probably
women
would
are
have
just-
survived, but
they're there
yeah.
they're there for the slaughter.
it could be concubines, there could be thing. We could take them. We did do that too.
I get what you're saying. So
did
it
do
was,
that
in
too.
their
Same, right?
it was in their interest to be taken over.
What's
Yes.
happening though
Yeah.
is that this gentleman is trying to focus on the sameness
Yeah.
of the
Who's trying to focus
There's no
on?
similarity.
Because he's focused on anything.
I'm
No, he's
just,
not doing it. He's just agreeing.
no, but I don't.
So
I'm
if
not
you-
genocide,
I'm
though.
not
if
sensing
you
agreement.
if you do the same thing,
I'm
it's
not
the same
sensing-
thing, right?
I'm not sensing agreement though. What I'm sensing is you're focusing. You're trying to draw an equivalency.
Because it's the same thing, right?
Well,
I made that.
First of all, I'm not necessarily because he's saying some stuff that I'm gonna have to research myself, right?
But murder's murder, right?
to validate.
Or is it not?
Well, no,
Does it
there's no.
depend?
Even in law, you got first degree murder, second degree murder,
You know
manslaughter.
exactly what I mean.
Right? Yeah, no, but I know exactly what you mean. That's why I'm answering the question. I'm answering it. And this is why these questions are these conversations here are interesting, because I find that we've got a world system, yeah, that is built upon a particular idea that has been called white supremacy, right? And everybody tries to prove that black people did the same thing at some point in history. Like, you know what I'm saying? Instead of
He made the reference.
yeah, no, I get that. No, I get that. But what I'm saying, I'm just suggesting what I heard in the conversation, right? So all I'm saying is, yeah. So all I'm saying is,
I don't know if any of
right?
this is true.
But my point is that it's that when we don't focus on, well, we're here and we've got a world, a society that is built upon the supremacy of this group of people, yeah, their culture, their ways, their political system, their economic systems, and using that, they oppress the entire planet. Yeah, we don't want to deal with that.
Does that not mean it's supreme? Is that not kind of funny, right? Because you said supremacy and then it dominates the planet. Does that not define supremacy?
Put it this way.
Just
You can build a system. You can build a system upon a fallacy. It's possible to do that.
Why is it false if it's true?
But it's not true.
It's not, but it dominates the planet.
So for
So it's
example, the nature of white people being supreme. It's a fallacy.
Oh no, I agree with you.
But it's possible for white
Absolutely.
people to build a system that is based upon that idea. That is based upon that idea. So in a sense, they validate the idea through the subjugation of other people. For example, men are not superior to women, but we live in a patriarchal and often misogynistic society.
Maybe it's designed to be patriarchal. maybe we're meant to be patriarchal by nature.
Well, I would disagree with that. Yeah?
Really?
I would disagree with that.
It doesn't seem many natural matriarchies.
It would seem so if we look at European culture, yeah, that patriarchy is natural. It would seem so. It would seem so. It would seem so.
Africa's like that now.
My only point is that, no, because what happens is people...
Africa's like that now.
See, there's
matriarchies, but
there's a discipline, yeah? Yeah,
Mum is the boss.
this is obviously... One second. This is obviously... This is obviously not... This is obviously not. Patriarchy is not universal, nor is it pervasive as regards to human history. Yeah, there are many societies that were not patriarchal or misogynistic.
So we're talking about patriarchal structures that exist biologically, and let's talk about the animal. Double camera.
Yeah.
Right. You're talking about lions.
But no. Male has a role, female has a role. You can't. But that's not patriarchal.
No.
But that's not necessarily patriarchal.
That's not a lion's role.
That's not necessarily patriarchal.
That's not a lion's role. What? The lion's role is to come after the lionesses have hunted down the whatever, and then he eats first. That's it.
And he bleeds, and he kills the offspring.
He doesn't kill any. Oh yeah, he kills the offspring. Yeah, sometimes. That are not his.
Of the former leader.
But again, but the problem is though.
But we're not lying, so...
Oh, now you're not lying.
I didn't support it.
That's what I'm saying. No, yeah,
you know what I'm saying. No, it's ideology.
Can we tap into what Beefy just said though?
One job.
That everybody.
The lion has one job.
Can we take up what Beefy
The
said?
lion has one job. The lion has one job. To protect the family. That's his job.
That's his job.
So if you actually watch these nature programs, yeah,
any competition,
when a big boss comes, yeah, that generally speaking, the lion will deal with that thing. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, when like a serious buffalo come, or you know what I'm saying, whatever, the lion will get up and deal with the matter, right? So there's more that the lion does. But the problem is that if we're looking at, because as human beings, we learn from the animal kingdom and nature, yeah. But because we have human intelligence, we develop social systems that are advanced beyond that. And what I'm saying is that if we look at patriarchy and misogyny, these are not natural laws. They don't occur in all societies. One second. I would agree with you to a certain degree. I would say that when you develop a system based upon misogyny,
is it?
Yeah. Well, I would argue that the society in which we live is inherently misogynistic and patriarchal.
Could you justify that, please?
Yeah. Why do I have to justify that?
You made the statement.
Yeah.
Have you made the statement?
Yeah, cool. Explain further.
Surely.
I would have thought that it was obvious that the society in which we live is built upon misogynistic and patriarchy.
You can't say it's obvious. You have to present
I would have thought it was obvious. All right, cool. No, that's cool. I could do that. I could do that. For example, I know. I could do that. For example, we live in a society, in which women are historically dispossessed.
You said historically.
Yes.
We're talking about now.
Yeah.
Is that different? There's a difference between now and the past.
Let's rewind. What I said was we live in a society that is based upon misogyny and patriarchy.
Right. So nothing's changed.
No, I'm not. So a thing can change, and still be based upon something.
Yeah.
So for example, slavery is one thing. Colonialization is another thing, but they're both based upon white supremacy.
Right.
Yes.
Anybody can be a slave. Anybody can be a colonizer.
You're correct. I'm talking about as related to the African experience. Yeah. So in African experience, there is slavery, and what followed slavery was colonization. Okay. And both of those things are based upon white supremacy. Yeah. So the fact of the oppression of African people remain the same. Yeah. But the system of slavery, we can identify it as something distinct from colonialism, even though there are many similarities. It's another state, right? So I'm saying that things can change, but still be fundamentally based upon a similar ideal. Does that make sense? Yeah. So today the issue might be, for example, there are women in this society that are fighting for equal pay, for example. Yeah.
They already have equal pay.
Right, they may well do. They may well do. But few would deny. Few would deny that there are disparities, in the economic and the employment system. There are disparities when it comes to how women are treated in the workplace versus how men are treated in the workplace.
Like
for example, when it comes to the sexual dynamics of the workplace, men are generally speaking not facing what women are facing when it comes to sexual dynamics in the workplace.
What do you mean?
So for example, women tend generally speaking, men tend generally speaking not to be the victims of rape, and sexual harassment.
In the military and prisons, they have another story.
Yeah, but we're talking about society. Yeah, I think
for men.
I think you're. I think.
Does it matter?
He said military and prison, you know, which generally speaking are gender dominant. So if you look at prisons, there are mostly men in prisons. Yeah,
surely
populated by men, and there are more men in the army than women.
That's
so
true.
so you're using specific instances to deflect from the general
not deflecting,
picture. Yeah, but you are because no, but I'm giving you. We're discussing society at the moment.
No, I disagree.
So you can't
because you have to define how it hates women. There's clearly
there's
privileges in the society that are only for women, and there's many situations where men have it a lot worse.
But would you agree with me if there are systems? One second. Would you agree with me if there are systems in a society or parts of society that benefit specifically women, that generally speaking women had to fight for those things from the men that were dominating them?
Things were achieved through action. Yes,
so
things have changed.
For example, in the society, there was a point at which women were not allowed to vote, or receive education,
or
them kind of things. I would agree, but the difference is that women were not allowed to do these things based upon their gender. Generally speaking, when men were dispossessed of these things, it was usually a class dynamic within the society in which we live. So I'm saying, based upon being a woman, there were certain things that women did not have access to. Would you agree with me, as far as the history of the society that we live in right about now?
It's true. Yes.
Right. So that's what we're talking about. Yeah, so we don't need to act as though these things don't exist. I don't know why we're acting like it don't exist.
Yeah. It does. I agree. No, and we're talking about the
misogyny. Right? Misogyny is a thing, and then you can have a society that is based upon the idea. Yes, misogyny is the idea.
Is it still based on the idea?
I am saying that there are.
Can it ever not be based on the idea? Can we ever change that, or is it always going to be there?
It can get to that point. It can get to that point. I would argue that we're not there at the moment. But why?
When would we be there? Could you give me the specifications?
When the society evolves to that point. So human development.
What would be the classification?
You're asking me to do Nostradamus now.
No, I'm asking you
predict
to
human development.
Make a reasonable statement.
No,
it's true. If you can't define your end goal, you can't say the premise.
My end goal.
You can, but it's
right. First of all, you haven't asked me my end goal. You haven't asked me my end goal. What you asked me was for a time period at which British society would be on misogyny.
Not time period.
Right.
What would it look like?
When you use the word "when" at the beginning of a question, it usually denotes time period. Right.
Obviously, it has other connotations in language.
So you say, can you tell me when? Yeah? When? Yeah. All right. So I'm saying, I can't tell you when. Right? I can't tell you when. What I can say...
But what would change in the society? What would it look like? What would actually change?
We're going off my original point, which was that misogyny and patriarchy are not natural universal laws. Yes? There are societies that developed without... that developed upon principles other than misogyny and patriarchy, in which women were not oppressed in that way. So the point I was making at that point is that what tends to happen is, because that is a dominant aspect of society right about now.
I don't think it is.
Well, I would say that this society has been based upon ideas that are dominantly misogynistic and patriarchal.
But if changing,
one second.
How's that relevant?
Change does not. The change of the present does not negate the history, right? So one second. Let me finish. Right? So I'm saying what tends to happen is that because the dominant people often don't like to take responsibility for their criminality, so they impose that upon the rest of the world. So it's like we act as though everybody's misogynistic, everybody's patriarchal, and
white people are criminals.
And it's a human condition. Yeah.
Good one.
I'm glad you're admitting to your criminality. It's a human condition.
Sarcasm's above you, eh?
It's not above me at all. You've been doing it this whole conversation, so you got a little bit of your own medicine, and that's it, right?
No,
let's move on. It enhances the beauty of my poetry.
Yeah. All white people are criminals, for sure.
But no.
You heard it here first. Thank you. It's extreme.
What's extreme?
White people all criminals.
You mean you say Bahimi?
What's Bahimi?
But it's obviously a reflection on what you said.
He can read minds, this guy. This guy
yeah?
can read minds very well.
So you're saying that his statement that all white people are criminals is
extreme. I thought you were an honest man, bro.
You're projecting.
That's just so honest.
You're projecting.
I'm not.
People being is a criminal.
But I didn't say. No, I never said that. I was talking about societies and civilizations. Yeah. So, for example,
everyone.
What Beefy and Maku and myself were trying to say is that there are many African societies, ancient, pre-colonial, that were not built upon misogynistic and patriarchal traditions and ideas.
Or raping and pillaging.
So, for example, You have equilibrium in societies. It doesn't mean that there weren't gender roles. It doesn't mean that there weren't things that men did and things that women did. But there are many societies.
But that's natural.
What's that? Male and female gender roles. I would say there's natural basis for these things. But what happens is that there are some people that develop stratification between those things. So they say that what is assigned. I don't think it is inherently oppressive to say that there are things that women do and things that men do. I don't think that's oppressive. What happens is when you elevate the male, and say what is male or what is relevant to male is superior to women, that's when it becomes oppressive. So I'm saying that you can have a society in which there are roles for men and roles for women, but it's not oppressive. Those things work in concert and complement.
I'll give you an example, like nurses and say people that work in construction.
Right.
Most people that work in construction,
that would make sense.
Are men in the hospital.
That is not necessarily an oppressive dynamic. No. You know what I'm saying? No. So for example, in many West African societies, for example, I'm saying West Africa like it's not just West Africa, but I'm using that example because I'm probably mostly studied on certain civilizations in West Africa. Yeah? Right? But it does exist in East Africa, for example, and Southern Africa and Central Africa. Yeah? But where women control the market, for example. Yeah. So the central. So basically,
monetary spending of the family.
Not just monetary. Money is a very recent invention. Yeah. But I'm saying that. Yeah. Right. So I'm saying that in traditional societies, the market is where the economy runs from. So if the women are in control of the market, the women control the economy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. So it's impossible to oppress women economically in a society where they run the market.
But wait. You said that women run the market because they control the monetary.
No. He said monetary. I'm saying no, not necessarily monetary.
The market get the surplus.
But you also have to understand that somebody had to work to get that monetary. I mean, I'm talking about from a male's point of view.
No, how I'm saying, he said monetary. I'm saying that markets
use money.
No, but I'm saying that markets existed before money. So I'm saying it's not necessarily monetary. It could be, but it's not necessarily.
Yeah, because barter was it.
But was there prior to. So I'm saying we don't want to confine it to money. I'm not saying that there wasn't money. I'm saying that it's not trade. So I'm saying that in a society, so misogyny and patriarchy in British history, for example, dispossess women of access to economic independence. Yeah? And I'm saying that not all societies in history relegated women to that kind of position.
It's true.
That's what I told you.
Are you trying to say basically that money is the reason why, I mean the exchange of cash is the reason why...
No. What I'm saying is the idea of men being superior to women is what dispossessed women of access to economic independence and self-sufficiency in Britain. Right. That's what I'm saying.
But this is a fact because there are still hunter-gatherer society. You can understand through the people that live now that are everywhere. In Congo is the biggest hunter-gatherers communities, and they are equalitarians. Even women in Congo, if you have a chance to go in these very deprived areas of Congo, they even hunt. So the idea is that hunter-gatherers, which is the very first form of human organization since prehistory, since 2 million years ago, were strictly egalitarian societies. Why? Because hunter-gatherers travel. They cannot accumulate so much possession. Being possession what gives you status and somehow authority over others
people,
within the community.
And that's what it was.
So you don't have all these wealth, material things
to hoard
to become
and
the
control,
boss, the big boss.
And control how it's distributed.
You know,
that's what it is. So I'm saying that the idea is misogyny.
The old systems, as I said, are the better
we
ones.
bring back barter?
You know what I'm saying? In the sense of
I
golden
think to some
ages
degree.
and all of these
You
type
mean
of things.
hunter-gatherer
To
society?
some degree, I said.
It's
It'll be
another
difficult
example
because
because
we've got a word that's based on money right
It's
about now. But I think to some
it's
degree,
not what we think it is.
There is a bit of barter.
We think it's a bit.
I think that's the way to
You know what
go.
I'm saying?
There's
Hunter-gatherer.
different ways of looking at
But
it.
it's actually scientific and intelligent.
Some of the studies have shown that people are much happier in that lifestyle than they are in this one.
Right. Exactly.
That's
So
true.
I said
I know
this
about
system, we're all complaining about how it doesn't work
About
properly.
this one.
Yeah. how it
I'm
doesn't
not
work
a big
properly.
fan of it either.
Thank you.
There has to be. I have to think about it nuanced. Like,
So
I have to
when
think
I
about why.
said, yeah, I find it's going to be impossible to remove the systems that are in place already. Remember I said that earlier, right?
You say impossible? I don't say it's impossible. It's
Not
difficult.
necessarily. It's very difficult. Yeah.
It's impossible.
Because of the constructs, the social
but
constructs that they've
you
already.
they built. Yeah.
but
Because you think you're jumping out of one,
Yeah, you got to
and
another
you're
one,
actually into another one.
Which brings it to your point about education.
No, but do you understand why it's difficult to actually bring down the system?
Yes.
What's your opinion?
As I said, because we're all complicit.
We're all
Remember?
complicit in it.
We're all complicit.
Meaning that we accepted it.
No, well,
No,
yes,
I
to a
said
degree.
unbeknown. Remember, I said unbeknown. We're all complicit. For the simple fact is, some of us support the government, some of us think, and the benefits of living here, but not realizing the sufferation that people had to go through for you to have this.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? The clothing, the everything, the thing, the credit card.
As a basic
the
example,
whatever.
we could be against the government, but all of us pay taxes in one way or another.
Right.
Yeah, even if not for our job or whatever, and we buy something, we've got value-added tax in it. So we all, because the system is so encompassing our lives at the moment, it's almost impossible to live outside of it.
Thank you.
Just what I'm saying. And so at the moment, we live in a dual existence whereby we're going to fight it.
Not really.
But
Not really.
what do you mean?
Because you can live outside the system. That's what I'm trying to
That's it, almost impossible. So for example, like being even me being here right about now is kind of me living inside the system.
Yeah.
It's like the Matrix. Yeah?
If you want to
Gotta
live
learn how
outside
to surf.
this system, it is possible.
Yeah,
I say it's possible.
You said
It's possible. No, it's possible.
Right.
It's possible.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Like
5.
to
Tomorrow,
live.
amongst
It's possible to
yourself,
live off the
You
grid.
can agree to trade with silver.
But the
You can
difference
make that
is
decision.
though. It's
I don't
possible.
even know.
No, but you can make that
Because
decision.
remember, I told you that if I leave here and go to Nigeria, I've just gone to a place that's been colonized.
That's been colonized.
So
And
I'm
still
leaving
exists
one
within the
colonized, the colonizer's home, to go to a place that's
the
been
colonized.
That you colonized.
So you can live off the grid,
Which one's
but
easier
living
to
off the grid
change?
doesn't necessarily change the system.
Which,
No.
neither.
What I'm trying to say to
Either
you
or.
is that maybe from one person can't change the system.
Yeah.
But if you, as I said, if you implement education, and say you get 1 million people,
I agree.
Then you can make.
That's the point. So
In terms of impact assessment.
So what type
Right,
of
that's
system
the
do you
point.
have in mind?
Are they going to allow
what
you to
type
do
of-
that?
If
though?
you really want to attack the system,
Yeah,
So I'm saying,
the best way to
What
do
is
it
that?
Yeah.
is to stop using
So
the credits.
Right. So I'm saying,
Well, let me
are
finish
they
that.
going to allow
If you can't do
you?
that, you're gonna get.
Thank you. Are they going to allow you to do anything like that?
But
you know what I'm saying? Within the system? Hell no. Do you know what I'm saying? I understand the ideas that everybody has, but it has to be, as my brother said, we have to have an exit strategy to go to somewhere that is not governed by any of these systems.
Cryptocurrency came about.
Yeah, that's not even helping. That's not even helping. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
It
still part of
depends
the
on who
system,
controls the cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
The point is that a currency only
Who controls the internet?
A currency only has
You know what I'm saying?
value.
It's a problem, man.
A currency only has.
We're gonna go in circles.
Not really.
In a sense, but that's what the system is designed to do. Yeah, right. And seriously, right? What's it called? But in a sense, because you said we could all choose to trade in silver if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Like me, let's say me, you, Maku, and Raven decide to trade in silver, right? And
Notice I'm excluded.
oh yeah. No, do notice. Yeah, do notice. Right?
I wonder why that is.
No, you should notice. And
You know.
right?
Pay attention, you know what I mean?
Right?
No,
you wasn't kidding, right? What's
good to pay
Let's say we just have to do that, yeah? But among us, silver has value. So as long as we're interacting with...
Silver will always have value.
Listen, you know what I'm saying? Because in this society, people don't trade in silver at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, currency is an abstract phenomenon. Money is an abstract phenomenon. So I'm saying that we just have to trade in silver. Among us, it has value. But if we try to go to the shop at any point, let's say there's something that doesn't exist among us at the moment, and we need to go find where that thing
Where
is.
you're going with it.
Right.
I told you, you have to implement phase 1, which is education.
And I'm
so
saying,
why you're
right,
doing
but
it.
and so,
Once you
so,
do
so
that,
that's,
then you can gain.
and that's why I say I agree with you.
Well, there's another
That's
question.
where we are at the moment, because at the moment there is not critical mass on the level that it would take for us to make what we are trying to build viable. So we're educating at the moment. It's education. Having conversations like these, we're exchanging ideas and them kind of things there.
So what is that model? As I was asking.
So again, if you're asking me as personally,
no,
right?
You're saying if you have an idea.
I have an idea, but I'm saying I'm saying I'm introducing what I'm about to like that because I'm aware that everybody might not have my idea.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I would be defined as a Pan-Africanist, for example. Yeah.
Is this an economic idea?
It has economic ideas within it. Yeah.
Well, how does it work?
It's not purely economic. So the dominant.
My thing is, if I had a plan and an idea, I can't really.
Anything that I'm about to say is.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
For me personally,
but you also said there is a system in place,
yeah?
And it's very, very difficult to get at that change, right? So whatever your idea is, there's a system in place.
It's war, isn't it?
Yeah, to counter whatever.
But the fact is, being
so whether you say it or don't say it, they already have a plan for it.
Well, not if I don't say it. Not if I don't say it. Because what's in my mind is in my mind, isn't it?
I hear that.
So what if I don't say it?
I'm trying to tell you that if maybe your idea is unique, yeah, and it could work.
Can it be unique in Speaker's Corner?
Maybe.
A place that is recorded, cameras everywhere, blah blah blah, and where people sit down and watch you.
You know what
I'm saying? If I'm doing something like that, it has to be a secret.
I'd actually agree with what you just said. As
soon as you implement it will make noise.
But I think
what I'm trying to tell you is there will be a system. As you said, the system will be there to counter whatever you're trying to do.
Definitely, but it's war. That's the nature of war. That's the nature of war. But you don't not do what you're trying to do.
Remember what you said earlier? Are we at war?
You see, are at war.
Yeah, we are at war. No, but it makes sense.
But what you just described is the essence of warfare.
I live in peace.
No. What you just said, whether you live in peace or not, what you just said is the put it this way: if you are trying to institute peace, and there are people hell-bent on fomenting war, then you are at war by implication because somebody is trying to disturb your peace. Right, that's what it is. Right now, to answer your.
But who is like we all have like. I'll let you.
Let me. Now, what Maku is actually saying. He's going to be selective about where he puts forward his plans and ideas. Not necessarily that he's not going to do it at all. So I'd agree with you that if you're trying to get critical mass, it makes sense to speak about what you're trying to do. I agree with that, which is why I'm speaking about it.
And it allows it to be criticised, and that's the only way you can perfect an idea.
Yeah, what are you trying to preempt at the moment?
Really?
Preempt?
Sounds like
no,
Dragon's
I
Den
said
to me.
Perfect.
No. What? To make that statement in terms of critique and perfection, where are you going with that statement?
Well, just on the ideas. Because if you have a criticism
of
the model...
I'm asking you the question because I haven't said that I'm adverse to critique.
I'm not saying you were.
Right. So
I'm just saying, like, if you talk about the idea openly, it allows it to be improved.
Oh yeah.
Because you're criticising everyone's...
Yeah.
You know, there's an old adage. It's very easy to criticise.
What is saying, he is trying to make correct or proper judgment of a situation. And his methodology is I can make a proper judgment only if I become able to see reality. If you don't see reality, you will never make correct judgment.
Definitely.
That is his method.
And how do you see reality?
Your method, on the contrary,
how do you see reality?
Is to question his method.
How do you see reality?
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting question. It's a very interesting question. Right, so let me answer your first question first, and then your second question. In fact, let me answer your second question first, actually, because it might give the answer to your first question in.
It is the only question to ask. It's not necessarily my question.
What's that?
It's just the next, it's the next question.
It's your question because you asked it in this conversation. Yeah? It's the same semantics. All right. So how do I see reality? Yeah? So my...
Siege mentality.
Huh?
Siege mentality.
Siege mentality? Is that how I see reality?
I meant it a bit differently.
No, that's how
someone brought that up earlier.
What is reality?
You know, yeah. So for example, I start...
That's how you describe yourself.
No, I see myself at war, not because I'm a warmonger, right? You know what I'm saying? It's looking at a reality, yeah? So you're a Muslim, it's like jihad, yeah? The term jihad has many different applications, yeah? So it could be on a personal level.
I was a Muslim,
Because we talked to you before, bro. You know what I'm saying? You get me?
It's the beard.
Right? But I'm saying,
jokes.
If you use the word jihad, yeah, there are many contexts to which it can apply, right? Right. So it could be on a personal level, a communal level. Yes? Right. It could be on a nation level. It could be on a military level. Right. So I'm saying that it could be on a spiritual level. Right. So I'm saying that when I say war, I'm not talking about military. I'm saying I was born into a world, yeah, with a particular heritage. Heritage denotes inheritance. I've inherited, that, right, based upon who I am, who I'm born of, which is African people. I class myself as an African, yes? In that, for whatever that means to anybody here.
It is 400 years of slavery.
Beyond that,
They
right?
are quite entitled to be identitarian. 400 years of slavery.
So based upon, right?
I'm a man of peace.
No, I hear you, right? But I'm not debating you at the moment. I'm just asking the question, yeah? So I'm saying that based upon that history and inheriting that history and that culture, yes, Pan-Africanism therefore seeks to affirm, and regain what was lost to people that have my heritage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the basics of it. So I don't know if I've just said it's in the public domain, so it's like you can read a book and get what I just said.
I read plenty of books, but so you see, when you say heritage, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean people who were affected by slavery, or do you mean people that were born in Africa?
Tag in.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do I mean by heritage?
Yeah, because surely
So heritage-
the idea is that we might have all came from Africa originally genetically.
That
as
doesn't
your
mean,
friend was saying.
Yeah, but
It's a bit
so
difficult.
humanity beginning in Africa doesn't mean that all people's heritage is African.
That seems
Yeah.
like a paradox.
It might be to you, but
To me,
but yeah.
or to logic.
No, because unless you are the primary arbiter of logic, I'm speaking to you.
I didn't realize logic had an arbiter. I thought it was a feature of cognitive thought, like mathematics. Doesn't
Yes.
matter what I think about it.
Yes, but we, as human beings, we arrive at logic through reason. Yeah, and so we're in a reasoning process at the moment.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so I'm saying that what you put forward doesn't make sense to you. Whether it is logical or illogical or not, will come to light as a result
Well,
of
I
our
put the
reasoning.
caveat at the start.
Yeah.
I said it could be people who were affected by colonialism. That is a title to that heritage. I mean, that makes sense to me.
But not only Africans were subject to colonialism.
That's true.
Right, so I'm saying that the African experience of colonialism is specific and unique and peculiar, and so therefore man relates to that in that context. So for example, Indians were colonized as well, but Indians had to go through their own process, of liberating themselves from colonialism, and what they did related to the Indian experience. Have no problem with that, it makes sense, because people have experiences that are unique to them. You know what I'm saying? The Chinese went through it as well. Yes?
When you say unique, you mean like it was a completely different thing, or?
There are differences. I would argue that the colonization of Africa was unique in many regards. But on a broader level, all people that are colonized have a unique experience that is specific to them. It's because people are generally colonized as groups of people. So if you colonize the Chinese as Chinese, yes, you go to China and you colonize the Chinese as Chinese, you go to India and colonize the Indians as Indians, the Indian experience is going to be different to the Chinese experience because they are different people. Necessarily.
Right. Okay, so I was a bit distracted with this.
No problem.
So I could say that a way of eliminating this, one of the problems, is maybe not identifying with groups.
That you spoke about logic earlier. Name me that dynamic. Can you identify that dynamic in human history?
Oh, of course. Like if you go to a new country, for example, if you emigrate, like I lived in many countries in my time here, and you go there and you don't need to identify yourself as someone else. You can adapt to the place you go.
You missed the question. I said name me that dynamic in history.
So I'm saying give you a time.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
Is that because what I'm suggesting to you is that group identity there is a pervasive human dynamic.
Oh, it is
throughout history.
But I think it's a negative one.
Yeah, and well, I would suggest to you that it's not. I would suggest to you that group identity
is the cause of colonialism.
No. It's not the cause of colonialism.
It's one of them.
No. What the cause of colonialism is one group attempting to impose its will on another group.
Okay.
So it's possible to be a group without doing that.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It is. I'll give you that.
And I'm saying, and we find many examples throughout history of groups being able to coexist without imposing themselves on each other and oppressing each other. That happens. Yeah.
It's rare.
So no, I wouldn't say no. It's not rare. I would say it's rare in European history, but it's not rare in human history.
And what's different about the Europeans?
What's different about
Why
them?
does it make us more...
You have to tell me that. I think you're more experienced in European.
Well, there we have,
we have
we have the hole there, because you need to answer that or your statement doesn't hold.
No. I don't need to answer it the whys necessarily. I'm saying that when it comes to the development of European history and civilization, yeah, we find a dominant characteristic, yeah, which is xenophobia, in terms of they don't like to meet people that are different from them. Yeah, I am saying, well, you can read history. You can read like.
Does it mean that I don't like meeting new people because I was born here?
We're talking about European civilization.
But so civilization is people, though.
It's groups of people.
Yeah, but
so if you're trying to
same.
individualize it,
Of
yeah,
course.
then you're not listening to what I'm saying. I am saying that when you look at, so for example, if we look at, and generally speaking, the cultural center historically of European civilization is Greece and then Rome. Yes, this is what most European people look back to in terms of the central trajectory of the development of European civilization. Yeah, and I'm saying that those civilizations tend to develop differently. Yeah, and the civilizations that are inspired by those civilizations tended to develop differently than most of the civilizations that preceded them and often coexisted with them.
Well, if we take Rome, I imagine, I'm not an expert on Roman history, but I do know that the Romans were very successful because they integrated people who were different from them into their society.
They integrated people that they oppressed.
Scared of them. Well, they conquered them and then integrated them into their military,
and made them
very rich.
And made them Romans, though.
Well, they had allegiance to Rome.
Exactly, that's the point I'm trying to make. So, for example, colonization is the same thing. You go to somebody's land and you tell them you must have an allegiance to Queen and country. It's not different. It's the same thing.
But it was against the xenophobia thing.
No, what I'm saying is, when I say xenophobia, I'm talking about when you see something that is different to you, you must subjugate it and make it what you are, or extinct or eliminate it from the planet Earth. And I'm saying that is not a dominant human characteristic.
But
that's the point I'm trying to make. What you're doing is universalizing whiteness. Yeah. So you're saying yes. So you're saying
whiteness?
So, but whiteness is the characteristics, the dominant characteristics pertaining to the development of civilization of white people or European people.
So they all develop the same because they have no melanin?
I am saying not necessarily through lack of melanin. What I'm saying to you, for example, is that anthropology, is a field of study that comes up in European civilization. It actually develops hand in hand with European colonization of the world. Usually, anthropology is Europeans studying the cultures of other people who they consider to be lesser than themselves. You know what I'm saying?
That did occur.
Right. Now, what I'm saying is that within the study of anthropology, Europeans, because anthropology is generally speaking, specifically a European field of study, dynamic. Yeah.
But so anthropology doesn't exist.
Anybody can study culture. Yes. Listen to what I'm saying. There's an academic discipline called anthropology that develops in a particular context. Yes. That context is colonialism. Yes.
No. I'm pretty sure people studied other cultures before European colonialism.
I've already acceded that point. What I'm saying to you is, there's an academic field of study called anthropology. Yes?
Yeah, my brother has a PhD
in anthropology, right? So I'm saying that
I do know what the
study,
word means.
Yeah, but I'm saying for example, people were studying the ancient Egypt from a long time, but there's a thing called Egyptology that comes about in a particular context. It doesn't mean that nobody was studying Egypt before Egyptology existed. I am saying that anthropology as an academic field of study...
So from a colonialist perspective?
I am saying that you cannot separate anthropology as an academic discipline and colonization, because the two go hand in hand. Yeah?
Make that assertion if you want.
Right, fine. Right. What I'm saying is that within that context, the people who are Europeans that develop the field of anthropology, develop certain ideals about people that they study.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and they define human nature according to their understanding, and sometimes their distortion of other human societies.
Yeah.
Right. So when I say whiteness, what I'm talking about are ideas that are born out of European people's interaction with the rest of the world, and ideas that they develop as a result of that.
Why would you call it whiteness, though?
Why not?
I dispute it because it's obviously a highly divisive thing to say.
No,
you're taking a complex idea.
It might be divisive. Then the question is it true? So I'm saying that when you look at the colonial period, this was not an act of one European nation and over here. We're talking about groups of Europeans,
Yeah, the race for Africa.
all collaborating in this effort and imposing
Collaborating.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought they had conflicts between who
They did have
controlled
conflicts.
restaurants.
For example, in the 1800s, when they were looking to colonize Africa, the British were fighting the French were fighting the Spanish, the Spanish were fighting the Germans, who just about developed the nation a couple of decades earlier.
Yeah, right.
So think about it now. The Germans just get a nation, and one of the first thing they tried to do is colonize Africa, right? Now, so what happens is Prince von Bismarck, calls the Berlin Conference, and says, well, let's not war each other over the spoils of African nations. Let's collaborate, And so that was the peace solution, for Europeans. No, it's collaborative.
Okay.
No, prior to that, the collaboration was done under the authority of the Catholic Church. The Pope settled disputes between nations in terms of how they could enslave, who they could enslave, what portions of the planet Earth was whose, and them kind of things there. So I'm saying this was a collaborative effort among European nations.
Cool, yeah.
And they did it based upon the idea of supremacy of whiteness.
I'm not sure about that. Maybe it was about...
There was a precise ideology
of supremacy of whiteness.
Of supremacy. If you look at the videos of Mussolini, when before invading Libya, and
when I get the opportunity, my friend, I will.
Ethiopia.
They were spreading all these videos that the Africans are savages because they cut the skin, in some tribes.
Whiteness. So that's what whiteness is.
It doesn't make any sense. Is it not just different culture?
No.
Why do you have to call it by a color? Why is it not a cultural
You would have to ask your white ancestors that.
That's an absurd statement.
Why? It was white people that developed the ideology of whiteness, that imposed an idea of whiteness on people. So for me to call it, to problematize me calling it whiteness, is to deny and deflect from the issue.
Is it?
No, because it's not African people that centralize whiteness for white people. White people centralize whiteness and impose that on African people. So in the response, African people identify whiteness, as the ideas and the composite character of the ideas that have been used to oppress African people.
You said African people, so all people that look like you think like you, and all people that look like me think like me. Is that not like as racist as you could be?
No,
you're missing the point. For example,
pretty good point.
If Britain colonizes,
people shake heads.
If Britain colonizes,
logic.
If Britain colonizes a nation, right? Britain colonizes the nation. Okay, when the people that are colonized are not necessarily concerned with whether every individual Briton, is in support of the colonization.
They're concerned on being exploited
by a nation. Right?
I understand.
There are some people of the colonized nation that collaborate with the colonization, and there are those that fight against it.
But do they distinguish?
But are they in that dynamic? Is anybody any less colonized?
Well, the people who are colonized are still colonized.
Exactly.
Yes.
Whether they collaborate or not, right? It's
but
still,
does
it's
that
still
mean
colonization.
that I have a share of guilt of an action I didn't do?
Why are we talking about guilt for?
That's appropriate, is it not?
I'm not asking
if you're saying whiteness.
To be honest, I'm not really concerned with whether you're guilty or not. I have no consideration for your guilt. I don't really care. Yeah, I'm saying you're asking me questions, so I'm giving you answers.
Weakness. That's the only thing to understand.
And the point is that oppression is generally speaking not individual to individual. It's group to group. Groups oppress groups.
But if one white nation like Britain colonizes a African nation,
yes,
does that make every other person around the planet who's white be judged the same way?
But my point is that these are infantile questions that colonized people don't have time for, right? And see, even the questions
that mean?
It's true. Even the questions,
That's interesting.
the questions that you're asking me,
it is.
Very
We don't have
direct.
time to answer.
Here I'm saying.
So a pertinent question is not worthy of time.
You know the people of the Middle East are more white.
Maybe that's telling, man.
It is. You know why? Because and this is the dynamic that I was speaking to you earlier. Yeah, in the sense of the fact that we have a system, right, that is built upon
that allows everyone to talk freely.
I'm not trying to infringe upon your
you
speech.
don't allow
But it's such a bad system, right?
You're speaking
Such
freely.
a terrible system.
You're speaking freely, so nobody's infringing on your speech.
You know what?
Right?
You know the point I'm making.
let me make the point I'm making. How about that? Yeah, exactly.
You don't allow freedom
You know,
of
some
speech.
people.
Who's doing the
you know,
Let me
interrupting?
finish. Let me finish.
Let him finish his concept.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
What I'm saying is, groups oppress groups.
Maybe because
When
you've
you
got
are,
something to say.
when one group oppresses another group, yeah. This is what I speak. Before you came, I made this point right at the beginning when I came in the conversation, which is the fact that we live in a society, yeah, that historically is built upon an idea of white supremacy, and the dominant sensibility tends to be when black people begin to resist, yeah, to question black resistance rather than white oppression, yeah. So none of the questions that you're asking me, yeah, interrogate the criminality of European people and Europe.
You weren't concerned with guilt a minute
it's
ago.
not- it's not European.
I'm not concerned with guilt. I'm not concerned with
I'm
guilt.
not concerned
I'm
with European.
I'm making a point. I'm making a point. Here I'm saying.
You said whiteness.
Yeah.
It's not
But
European.
I've already explained that. White people develop an ideology and a philosophy.
It's not just Europeans that are white, but go ahead.
White people develop an ideology and a philosophy based upon the supremacy of white people, whiteness, and all things white. So white people and white culture. Yes.
Yeah,
and so.
What? What's
Second?
the name of this philosophy? Like, can you identify?
That's fine, it's his view, that's fine.
They call it many things, but I'm saying that
I mean, yeah, okay, but you cannot identify it. I mean, you're just.
I can
talking
define
like,
it. I am defining
That's
it right
your
now.
view. That's fine. Keep going.
It's my
That's
view.
it.
It's
That's
white
like-
people who came up with the term white supremacy, right? You understand
His
it?
That's what I'm trying to say.
It wasn't about
You're
judging.
talking as though
He's
I come with the
judging.
white
You're-
supremacy.
hold on. You're
I am
judging-
judging. No,
you're judging
no.
on
My
the basis of
ancestors
whiteness.
were put through a process whereby they were taught systematically that you are black, ugly, devilish, barbaric, and savage, and we are white, pure, good, holy, and sanctified. That is a process that white people impose on black people, and so black people identify that dynamic and that process as whiteness.
Sure.
Why? Because we were taught by white people to revere all things white. So this is not my definition and my designation. This is white people's designation. So why are you asking me? Don't ask me. Then don't ask me why I call it whiteness. Ask your ancestors.
Because
pour a libation
calling it
and
whiteness,
resurrect Cecil Rhodes and resurrect Livingstone and resurrect Leopold. Yeah, and resurrect Bartholomew Dennis Cassis and resurrect all of them and ask them why they did it. Don't ask me.
Calling it whiteness is as ridiculous as how you guys get all upset when you're called black. Because
If it is ridiculous,
whenever the blackness.
first of all, I don't get upset when I'm called black.
Hear me out.
Black is beautiful. Look at the skin; it's beautiful skin.
Let me finish.
Yeah. There's nothing to be ashamed of right
Whenever
here.
there's been a conversation about black people,
Yes.
I hear most blacks say, "Do you know what black even means? Is he black? Is he black? Is he black?" You talk about melanin.
You're referring to
talking
a
about-
conversation that is an in-house conversation among
No,
black people.
when it suits you.
And a lot of that.
When it suits you,
And a lot of that.
blackness doesn't actually.
And a lot of that. And a lot of that.
Doesn't actually mean much.
And a lot of that.
Whiteness
And
is
a lot
very
of that.
specific.
And a lot of that is a result. Yeah.
So you're happy judging the entire.
But you're saying I
shade
made
of white.
again. You're missing the process here. You're saying I made a judgment, and I said whiteness.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Because
no.
when you say white,
Hold on.
You're not even just saying Europeans. It goes beyond just, geography.
What I am saying is
What is
that
white?
European
Russians?
people. What I am saying is that European people.
Okay, European people are not all white.
So not
Like what shades of
We are
Fine,
not
fine.
always
what shades of
same.
melanin?
No, I'm not
all the
saying.
same.
When were you all the same or
I'm
not?
not a fascist. I'm not
When were you all the same or not?
It's projection.
When they came to Africa, the Africans was not differentiating between who the fascists
What
or
about
not.
the Arabs?
Right?
but you
Hold on.
still don't listen.
And the Europeans that came did not differentiate between fascist Europeans,
What about
Christian
the Arabs?
Europeans,
Man.
non-fascist.
What about
Listen,
the
please. Listen, please.
No, you're not listening to what he's
What
saying.
about the
That's
Arabs?
the problem.
I've listened many times. I've answered it many times already. I'm gonna say it one more time and one more time alone.
You want to step in, brother? You want to step
Right?
in? and everything?
I'm gonna say it one more time alone.
Yeah.
European people come. Yes? They tell us that white is beautiful, good, holy, and sanctified. White. Yes? Based upon the color of their skin, they impose a system of oppression upon black people. Based upon the color of their skin. Yes? And the culture, so their own phenotype. Yeah? The European, the nose that is more common to European people is the most beautiful nose on the planet. The skin color that is more common to European people is the most beautiful skin color on the planet. The food, the religion,
My friend, I'm not
the clothing.
denying
If
there
you're not
was a-
denying,
I'm not denying there
then,
was a power.
then you're
that presented
then your non-denial should lead you to the understanding of why the term whiteness is used.
No, but it would be
Whiteness.
ignorant to judge the entire shade of white on that.
But I
perception.
said
Does that make
whiteness
sense?
as an ideology, a philosophy. That's what I said.
You said white people. Like,
No,
I
it
said
is,
whiteness
Okay,
as an
so what-
ideology
so-
and a philosophy.
So people.
And
who are-
again, see, that's what I'm
okay,
saying. This
so
is what
people
we
who
don't
are
have time
white-
for.
Okay,
Okay, so
You're
you
gonna
agree
say-
that people who are white but not from Europe are innocent,
No,
or should they be judged the same way as?
not necessarily.
Why the folks are the supporters?
Sorry, who are the white people that are not from
fascism?
Europe?
First
Like,
of
About the
all,
Middle Eastern.
strictly
You know,
racist.
Persians are more Iranian than
So is
most of
communism.
Europe.
Yeah, okay, and
So what
so
about
and so
that?
for example, from an African context, right? When it comes to the flow of African history, Persians were among the first to
You
invade.
lived under the
Well, that goes
Gulf,
back. We're talking about slavery, no?
No, we're talking about
I mean, we
whiteness.
could talk about the Arabs too.
Yeah,
They're
we can- yeah,
they're
exactly,
really
we can,
white.
yeah, you
What
can.
about what about what they've done?
We
to
can, yeah, but
Africans?
in terms of talking about whiteness,
So-
yeah,
so your
the issue is not
concern is
no,
about
but the
whiteness,
issue the
but not
issue is
about-
not the issue is not whether each individual white person is good or bad, right? This is nonsense.
No. How comes when you say this, when you talk about whiteness as an idea,
Yes.
how comes individuals always personalize this concept?
Never want
Is
to do
there a
it.
guilt there, something that we need to discuss? Is that the next chapter? Because the brothers talk about
Are you a
ideas.
psychologist?
I might be, who knows? Right?
Is it,
Yeah.
are you projecting yourself?
Maybe.
Maybe you
I'm
are.
trying to expand the conversation.
It could be.
Maybe. Shall we
But
go there?
His
Shall we?
question is
Maybe.
relevant based
Is
upon
my question
how the
relevant?
No, it is
question has gone
relevant.
so
But
far.
so is
Right.
the counterpoint.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but I'm saying you can join in, you can join out. It's up to you.
What's
right?
interesting
But
that nobody is denying the dynamic that I speak of, but few people tend to
We're not
interrogate.
denying history, but
Right?
how you're
Exactly.
taking it
So
further.
then, if you understand history, yeah, then my response to the imposition of whiteness on my people is not the issue. The response. You just come. I've been defining whiteness for the last 15 minutes.
He
right?
defined it
It's-
more or less.
I'll find it. I'll
by
find it.
Right?
no
I've been defining for the last
contentious-
15
find it
minutes.
intriguing that
There's
when-
nothing contentious about what I'm.
when non-black-
In my view,
no,
it's contentious.
but you notice though that my definition of whiteness is more contentious than the imposition of whiteness on black people.
What?
My definition of whiteness seems to be more of a problem.
You're presupposing
I'm not
the
so.
definition.
Presupposing
I
what?
think we've covered that.
No.
We just talked about.
Again,
question for you.
We
There
just
is-
talked
there-
about that.
I have a question for you.
There is
you
no
just-
presupposition.
You asked.
There is no presupposition. You know why?
You asked.
Because
What are your-
because my people have 500 years of evidence for exactly what it is I'm
Question
saying.
for you.
Go
What
on.
about the Arabs?
Is there a more accurate?
They're
Are
included
they
in
white?
Is there a more accurate?
Are they white?
There are people that will class them as white. Yes. But go
Is
ahead.
there a more
But you know they
accurate
weren't white and they
identifier
still-
than whiteness for your?
Okay, you're gonna have to ask white people ancestors that. What I am saying is, when they came to us.
Is it possible
Listen,
for me
please.
to disavow
Listen,
the
please.
beliefs
Listen, please. Listen,
of my
please.
ancestors?
It's possible, and I would encourage you to do so.
So
right?
you're
But
not
what's it
lumping
called?
me in
Right?
with that
But
then?
listen. But you should be less concerned whether I'm lumping you in with it, and whether you yourself are contributing to it or not. Don't concern yourself with that. Put it this way. No, I'm sorry. I'm not here. Yeah, to alleviate white guilt. I'm not gonna do it. It's not my job. Yeah, I'm saying if white people come, no, but my point is that that's what he's asking me to do when he asked me about him personally and whether he can disavow it or not. I'm not interested in whether he disavows it or not. I'd encourage it, disavow it, yes, but that's not my concern. We're having a conversation here, and I'm talking about a historical experience in which white people impose, yeah, a system of oppression.
Imposed or imposed?
But it's not white
imposed
people, though.
and imposed.
So it's not finished.
So we're talking
yes,
about the
definitely, very
Persians,
much.
we're talking
So it's
about the
relevant
Arabs.
today.
So it's not about colour, really. It's about a group of people who have maybe a superior technology at that point in time
you're
who
not
exploited
wrong.
one another.
You-
Are you
you-
telling
you
me,
are
let
not
me ask
wrong.
you a question.
You're not
Are
wrong.
you telling me if Europe didn't exist, Africa would be full of peace, you'll all be treating each other nicely? Is that what
This is ridiculous. That's not going to do anything.
Because it's because
very relevant.
because you're making this about colour.
All right,
You're making
I'm
this
gonna
about colour.
come back to that. I'm gonna come back to that question. I'm gonna deal with your last statement first. You said I'm making it about color. Again, listen. No. You cannot tell me that I am making it about color.
You know why?
When it was white people that came up with the designation of
You know why?
whiteness and imposed it on black
You
people.
know what's funny? Because
no,
at that point,
white people made it about color.
Do you know what's funny?
Hold on.
Just
Will
on
you
that point.
accept?
Just on
Will you
that
accept
point.
that white people made it about
Just
color?
on that point, I told you what about the Persians or the Arabs, and then you completely avoided the color. You just said, oh, but they also
However you word that, I'm not interested. However you word that, white people.
So it's not
that's
just about
fine.
white people.
Say again?
We talked about the Arabs and the Persians too.
as far as
They're not Europeans.
as far as
And you just ignored it.
as far as
Oh, it doesn't fit your narrative.
Large-scale slavery was
I'm
from the
going to
white
answer you.
race.
I'm going to answer you.
Full
As
stop.
far as
large-scale 400 years of slavery.
this is what I'm trying to say.
Arab
As
white.
far as listen. As far you're not right. You're not going to get me, yeah. To
He's very clearly talking about European whites.
but first of
We're
all,
also talking about
first of all,
Persians.
sir. First of all, bear in mind that you came into a conversation, yeah, and things happened before you came here. So what I was talking about when you came in, right, was predicated upon the flow of the conversation. That's the first thing. The second thing is, personally, and if you've seen me before, you would know this. I'm not really a defender of any form of invasion against African people, right? That's not what I'm about. What we're talking about, for example, what the Persians did is specific to the Persians. Yeah? What the Arabs did is specific to the Arabs. If we are having a discussion about Europe and European people, and we're discussing that conversation is valid in and of itself. One second. You don't justify European or deflect from what the Europeans did by telling me that the Persians did this and the Arabs did that. Yeah? That's nonsense. So if we're talking about the specificity of what Europeans did, yeah? Europeans came with an ideology and ideas that they imposed upon people based upon the dominant characteristic, which was skin color. Yes? That's what they did. So they...
Can you back I accept, listen, I can accept
How can I back it up?
But for you to respond to say you have the right...
There are several possible drivers behind that.
Yeah, go on. What are the drivers? Yeah.
Religion.
Religion was an expression of whiteness.
Middle Eastern religion.
Christianity, which is what was imposed on us by the Europeans that came,
is a Middle Eastern religion.
What's the point?
Well, it's not a whiteness thing.
But I'm saying, when it was brought to African people by Europeans, it was posed as an expression of whiteness. We were taught that that the Christian religion, coming from the people that,
Christianity is a religion only for white people.
See, I'm saying, we were taught that the people that were imposing this religion upon us were superior to us, and this religion was an expression of their superiority.
Okay. So what about Christianity?
Are the entire
By that point, yeah, that's
the entire European population responsible?
So, for example, you all know the history already. There was a point at which Rome was against Christianity. Rome adopted Christianity. At that point, Christianity becomes the religion, the dominant religion of European people.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a fact. That was centuries before.
Mainly Southeastern Europe. And we don't look like Western Europeans. We're not white.
Personally, like I said, I'm not. You lot can battle over how you dissect white people. I'm not interested.
Should an average African have all this kind of anger against the average European, even though the European...
Your question should be, should European people be maintaining and sustaining systems of oppression against African people?
Can I say something here?
Are all Europeans
That's what your question should be.
Are all Europeans accountable for the maybe the elite ruling powers?
I personally...
No, I am not on your ranks.
I'm talking to him.
Personally, European accountability is not my concern.
Would you consider
when you have a view on whiteness, you're not just talking
no,
about this
it's not. Again,
you're making this more about...
you're calling it my view on whiteness. I am responding to a condition, yeah, that African people have been subjected to as a result of this oppression.
Is whiteness an ideology?
Definitely.
Well,
and all
white supremacy is an ideology.
And all white people have that view.
Again, you're asking me about to individualize.
I don't recognize that. You are.
Do you have that view? Again, right?
I don't.
Then that's on you.
So he's
that's the point.
Going in circles.
Right? Because I'm asking.
Personally,
the reason
I don't
you
care
talk about whiteness. You bring everyone into the equation, right?
Yeah, that's what
okay, let me put it like this. Let me put it like this. When white people came and said white skin and white culture is superior to black culture, they weren't differentiating between white people that believe in white supremacy or don't believe in white supremacy. They just said white people. Yeah? Right? They didn't come and say, well, some white people are superior to black people. They said all white people are superior to black people. That's what they said. Right? They didn't differentiate between the working class and the lower class. My point, when the British came, yeah, and they imposed British colonization on black people, they didn't differentiate between lower class Brits and the aristocracy.
Who cares?
They said the Brits
Let
are
me
superior.
help out. This
Right?
brother is going to go in circles. So it's about you. It's not about the idea.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's about you.
I'm
Do you want to talk about you?
I'm not interested in your personal gripe.
So maybe we can take it forward because we've gone on the circles quite a number of times. So maybe we can present a different
I tried to
point.
pull you texture on WhatsApp, on Instagram. Yeah, on Messenger.
Can I give one input into this?
Yeah, go.
There is something.
That's right. Alternate views are terrible. You should purge them all. Maybe.
You know what it is? What he's saying, basically, Knight Templars were Christians, but did not follow the Christianity, right? They were completely against the teaching of the Christianity. Sorry, no. What I'm saying is, under the umbrella
of white oppression since the days when the first white band of robbers went to Africa to enslave and steal. That's what he's talking about.
Yes, this is what it is, but the normal whites would not do that. Normal whites would not do that.
I repeat,
the people,
my personal concern is not white
the followers of the Knight Templars, they were the
It'd be
ones,
wise to be
the people
accountable.
of the white,
It'd be
they
just.
were also enslaved of those
It would be humane, but that's not my concern.
That's it. That's it.
It's ironic, but many of these early Europeans who invaded Latin America and who initiated the slave trade wouldn't be considered white by white supremacists because they were
possible.
They were dark Portuguese.
That's possible.
Spaniards.
That's possible. But they still went there with a white ideology and a white mind, and wiped out
yeah.
entire populations of people. Yeah, in the name of supremacy.
There are people
It doesn't happen all the time. I'm
with
sorry.
extreme
Again, you're
Islamists.
dealing with the
Hold on a
universality of
second.
whiteness.
There's ISIS. I don't see many Muslims supporting it. People use ideologies to exploit others.
ISIS have not been anywhere and wiped out an entire population of people.
There are many ideologies.
ISIS have not been anywhere and wiped out an entire population of people.
They tried with the
What are you
Yazidis.
talking about? You don't
They
recognize
may have
that
tried. All that means is that the Europeans were more successful at it than ISIS. That's all that means.
Right.
That's
so
all that
maybe,
means.
So maybe all people do it, but they were just successful.
So what you're trying to get me, what you're trying to get me to do,
I'm not getting you to do anything.
right?
Like
is-
Africans are not exploiting
what your
one another now.
point? What your point is not to address the reality of what's been happening and what's going on.
Oh no, we already.
You just
accepted
want
it
me
as
to
the-
admit that everybody has the potential to be a great
course they do.
genocidal murderous group of
We
people.
see it in Africa all the time. We have to blame the whites for that. Oh, yes.
How do you want to run this, right? Yeah. Someone's been attacked there, right, by a particular person.
Yeah.
Do we say, well,
The person that's being attacked also has the potential to attack the person who's attacking them.
Hold on
So
a second.
let's not address.
or someone else could do it?
Yeah, or someone else could do it.
Yeah.
So let's not address the attacker right
But
now.
someone actually is actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know why
Africans
you're
are
not
winning
attacking
conflicts with each
you're not
other.
addressing the attacker?
Why?
Because you're overgeneralizing.
But I'm not.
You're
But I'm not.
You're painting all white people.
No, but I haven't said anything about white people. What I'm saying is, listen. What I'm saying is, listen. What I'm saying is, yeah. Europeans come.
West Europeans.
Yes.
Western Europeans.
Fine. However you want to.
Because
you didn't
however
say
you want
you
to.
can't address the problem unless you
Exactly. What I'm saying to you is,
let me jump in. The people who did this said whiteness, yeah? White
Exactly.
supremacy, they said it.
They didn't
As the
differentiate.
victims of this,
doesn't hold all whites responsible.
But your argument,
black
hold on.
My argument is not about
Your argument
responsibility.
is not with
I
them,
have
it's
made
with
argument
those.
responsibility.
Your
There
argument
are
with them.
many black
But I have not.
black
But I have not
captives.
made an
I'm not holding
argument. But I have not made an argument about responsibility.
There are many blacks
But I have
to
not
the
made an
right
argument
now
about
in London. I'm not
responsibility.
holding you responsible.
You will always be confused. You will always be
I haven't made an
confused.
argument about responsibility.
You will always be confused.
That's not the argument that I was bringing forward. That's not the argument I was bringing forward. What I'm saying now, when white people came, they didn't differentiate between Eastern Europeans and Western Europeans.
Absolutely.
Right? So they said white people.
They didn't differentiate, but
they said
were,
white people.
They were
so I'm
a
saying,
certain group of white people.
Fine, but I'm not really that passionate about whether it was a group of white people or just Eastern or European or Western or
But
whatever.
you're talking about the perpetuation.
But you're not saying a group of white
perpetuation of
people were
racism,
responsible
right?
for this.
And white supremacy. Perpetuation. It's being perpetuated.
Definitely, yeah.
But everywhere? No, not everywhere. By certain people in certain
No.
countries.
I'm saying that white supremacy is a global dynamic.
Develop capitalism.
Exactly.
Right? What are you talking about?
But it's a fact.
What does that have to do with colour? The individuals.
I'll explain to you. I'll explain to you. Actually, explain
My
to you.
issue with I don't have. We know what happened historically, right? My issue.
But evidently you don't.
Do you?
No, I don't. You're the expert.
Evidently you don't.
The issue is you're
I'm well studied.
all white people responsible for
I haven't made a blanket categorization of white people.
That's exactly what you.
I haven't made a blanket
say.
That's what you heard. That's what you heard.
You could say there was a group of people.
That's what you heard.
What do you want to hear? What do you want to hear? Because I spoke to you
No, I
before.
can't say that. You know why? Because that would be ahistorical. Because that would be ahistorical. I can't say that. You know why?
A group of people.
No, I can't. I can't. You know why?
Africa.
You know why?
Using this ideology.
But I can't. You know why? You know why?
That's the accurate way to
But I
describe
can't. You know why?
Why not?
Why? You know why?
Because you're holding what? The reason I have a problem with that is you're holding all people who are quite innocent, who probably didn't even know what this was happening, responsible. Well, tell us why.
Responsible is the capitalist
Tell us why. Let him
system
answer, please.
of
You're
the
chatting
white.
crap. You're chatting
That is
crap.
the responsibility.
Oh,
you're chatting.
She's not wrong though. She's not wrong.
We can come to politics later.
Right? No, but it's political. We've been discussing politics this whole time. Yeah, it is not apolitical. The reason why what she's saying is true is because capitalism comes into existence as an economic system built upon the exploitation of African people.
Built upon. That's a statement. So
challenge my statement. Challenge it.
Trading in currency existed before colonialization, right?
Trading did.
Currency.
Trading is not exclusive to capitalism.
Yeah, right.
Nor is currency. Nor is currency.
Okay, so what's specific about capitalism?
Capitalism.
With Africa?
Capitalism is an economic system that centralizes and puts a premium on the private ownership of wealth, resources, and the means of human production. Yes, and right.
What does that have
private
to do
ownership
with
of wealth?
Africans and blacks?
What
are you talking about?
I'm saying.
What are you talking about?
Capitalist. Can't you understand that?
Modern capitalism.
Slavery didn't exist.
What you're conflating? What you're conflating is capital with capitalism. Capital can exist without a system that is based fundamentally upon the ownership of capital.
So can we go to your account of holding all whites responsible for what happened in Africa?
So you know.
Let's go to the main point.
Cry for the unit.
You still enjoying this, Leon?
Again.
He's taking a nosedive.
Again. Yeah. When I speak of whiteness,
you're going to keep repeating this, bro.
No. See what you're doing right now is you're redefining my argument to suit your emotions.
Because blacks get very emotional when I hold all of them responsible for the crimes that happen in London.
What blacks do you talk to? What blacks do you talk to?
You for one.
Okay.
The moment I ask blacks, it's like, define black. Who's black?
The funny thing is though, but you know what's good though?
You know what's good? We're not talking about Persian and Arabs. You're like, oh, that's different.
What's the good point?
What's the good point? What he's describing happens.
Yeah. But again, this whole example, this whole conversation, this whole conversation
brutalization and demonization of a whole race.
A prime example of white supremacy.
Oh my
God. It is.
Listen to this guy. Am I white?
It is.
Man, you're really stupid.
It is. Thank you for the compliment.
Once you got a name called,
Is he white?
What's your name called?
Let me explain why.
Is he white or black?
Let me explain why.
Is he white or black?
Let me explain why.
Is he white or black?
Let me explain why. Let me explain why.
Before you go any
I'm speaking, so I'm going to finish what I'm going to say. What I'm saying. All right. The reason being is because, as I said before, we're discussing a condition of oppression.
A condition of any question that you can't answer, you call it white supremacy.
Listen please. We're discussing a condition of oppression in which one group of people impose oppression on another group of people based upon the idea of white supremacy. And your primary concern, is my response, and black people's response to, the condition of being oppressed by white supremacy than the oppression of white supremacy in and of itself. That, to me, is a prime example of white supremacy. It suggests, that the emotions and the sensibilities of white people, in response to black people speaking about the oppression by white people is more important, than the oppression that black people are actually facing.
Thank you.
Man,
And you're shouting for real, man.
Are you serious?
I'm projecting my voice. We're in Speaker's Corner.
I know, it's just...
Once again,
voice projection is important.
Last time.
I want to make a statement.
Listen, just for the last question.
Because we need to address that.
Yeah, we can. Let's see.
All white European white people responsible.
Again, you've asked me this many times.
Yes,
I'm not going down that road. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm not doing it. No,
you don't have anything
because
absolutely
cool. Next question, let's move on.
Well, in this whole thing there, we went round and round and round in circles talking about the history. The interesting thing is, like, the people that have participated here, we don't deny, nobody's denying the history.
Okay, go on.
It's quite important that.
So if you have,
right?
if you have said it, then what's the point of what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to continue to speak, right? It's been going for a while. So we accept this history is there, and it needs to be understood. I would say the key to preventing something from happening again or it continuing is to understand the motivations of it, right? Understand the core of it, where it comes from, and take action to prevent that if we view it as a negative. So I would say something that's really important to recognise is that maybe the idea of being afraid or not liking something that's different from you is a feature that has been shown psychologically to be part of all humans. It can be supported by a culture, it can be elevated, or it could be made not so important. So my argument that I've just made is that it's not related to race, it's related to how people choose to act, no matter where they're from. Right?
No people should oppress another group of people.
I would say that would be ideal. But it's a very difficult thing to achieve because this idea of oppression is an often used word, right? But oppression could simply be me speaking louder than you.
No. Well, you're trivializing now.
And
You're trivializing.
No, it's not the purpose of my statement.
No, I'm saying that it is, but you are though.
People are born unequal, right? We're not born equal in terms of our abilities, our intelligence, our looks, or whatever. And we have to deal with that reality. Now, if you build a society that's based on looking at one group as inferior and one group as superior, that can only go bad. Like, obviously.
But I'm saying that we currently live in a society that is based upon that fact.
Okay, you could say it's based upon it, but with things that we have happening,
no, it's not universal.
I'm going to keep going. With things that we have happening in this country today, you could say that there's been many, many things changed for the better than our history. And other parts of the world, for that matter, where this concept of really strong racism is very apparent.
You know what? The thing is, I can simplify.
So the problem is white supremacy and populism has made a comeback in the past 5-10 years.
That's a good point.
So things are regressing, if anything.
Why is that happening?
They're getting worse for black people.
Why is it happening?
Who knows? It's probably a complex, multifaceted problem, isn't it? It's not going to be answered in one statement.
Do you have an idea of why it's happening?
By the way,
I could think of some things.
Give me some examples of why it's happening.
Usually when people are in times of economic stress, they resort to grouping up into smaller and smaller identity groups.
There are other forms of racism.
So you're saying that white
people like me.
I didn't say white people, man. I said people.
Sorry?
Humans.
Well, it's not.
We're talking about.
If we're talking about
It's not.
I know.
That's what he was talking about.
I know, mate.
Right, so you gave attempted to give an explanation as to why that's happening. No, what is happening? That's what you just did, though. He said. Sorry, excuse me. Let's clarify your point. You said that there's a rise in white supremacist groups in Europe at the moment, yeah?
In Europe and the West.
And the West, yeah. And your response was. The question is, why is that happening? Yes.
Bro, man, you're coming at it from a really.
No, I'm asking. I'm trying to clarify what you said.
You're trying to put everything as this ball, but it's not like that. I'm trying to understand it.
But by the way, I pointed out to your friend.
Yes. No, I'm trying to clarify something.
Even people of my background.
Yes.
Are targets.
Yes.
In places like the UK and the US.
I'm going to agree with you.
However, not to the extent that you will be.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that.
And I told him to speak.
I have no disagreement. I'm not disagreeing with that. Right?
Sorry?
But I'm trying to clarify something because he made a statement.
No, because it's not.
You asked me, do you have any idea why that might be the case?
The ramifications aren't as serious.
I asked you what that is.
So I wouldn't want to. I'm asking you without changing the focus of the conversation.
Specific to the example that he gave, are you saying that the rise in white supremacist groups in Western Europe, as he put forward, is a response to economic pressures upon groups of white people?
You just restated my point.
So I'm clarifying. I'm asking you a question.
Why would I need to clarify if I already stated it?
I'm clarifying.
Can I give you one explanation?
Is that what you said? Is that what you're saying?
It's on the recording.
Can I try?
I'm not setting you up for anything.
Why do you need to rephrase my question?
No, I was asking you to clarify. You didn't do it. I'm trying to clarify it at the moment. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Can you tell them what you meant? Is that a possibility?
I know what he's doing.
Man, this is very simple. There is economic stress.
You don't need to be.
in maybe a country of predominant color, it can potentially cause certain groups to blame it on the minorities.
Say that again.
I'm saying when there is like an economic decline in certain countries, predominantly of one color, it could be blue. For an ignorant perspective, maybe that they would blame it on the immigrants and on the minorities. In the same fashion that in Africa, for example, if there is economic issues, they may, at first point, they might just blame the whites. A bit like Zimbabwe, for example. Maybe a bad example. But the fact
it's a terrible example.
It's a very bad example.
Do you want to go that road?
It's a very bad example.
But the fact is, it's easy to, as step one, which has happened recently, blame the minorities, which happens generally, right?
So let's
those minorities are not necessarily blacks.
Now I'm going to say to you,
but
I'm gonna say to you, I'm gonna say to both of you, the level of reasoning and deduction. Yeah, listen carefully to that. It's a word of advice.
I don't need advice.
Right?
Go.
Take my foolish advice.
I imagine it's going to be quite insulting.
Take my foolish advice. Yeah. The level of reasoning that you all just engaged in, in order to identify why white supremacy groups.
It wasn't an identifier,
groups,
it's an example.
But you're giving an explanation. You're giving an explanation. You're giving an explanation. You're giving a possible explanation as to why groups of white people are turning to white supremacy in Europe.
That's one example.
I agree. So apply that same level of reasoning, and deduction, and understanding, to why black people might talk about white people in generic terms.
I can accept that. I've never denied it. What I've had a problem.
You're an intelligent gentleman.
I've had a problem.
You're
is
wise.
When you categorically
very, very wise.
judge all of them the
very
same
wise.
way.
Yeah, but that's what you got from the conversation, which is not what I said. So, you know what I'm saying? No, but what I'm saying is, they demonstrated power of deduction here just now in relation to white supremacy that they haven't demonstrated for the whole conversation in relation to black people.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm saying they could do that. They could do that.
Of course it is, because if I judge like you by the same way ISIS I would, you would have a problem with that. You would say, but no, all Muslims are the same.
Ignorant man.
Exactly, I would be ignorant. You're totally right. I would be ignorant if I did.
It was beautiful what just happened.
That's
The gentleman brought in the rise of white supremacy into the thing, and immediately there was an attempt to give an explanation, as to why. As to why. And I'm saying, I've been in this whole conversation, I've been talking. They've been questioning me, about why I use terms like whiteness, to describe the ideology, that has been imposed upon black people because it was based upon the supremacy of whiteness. They couldn't understand that. But immediately, they could understand why groups of white people would turn to white supremacy. It's beautiful. It was poetic. The way how the level of comprehension.
Because of the single reason behind.
There are many.
What I'm saying is, this whole conversation they've been questioning me, on my use of the term whiteness. That's what they've been questioning me on,
Right,
You said, but we have to admit that there's a rise in white supremacy. Immediately, reasonings and deduction and reason as to why explanations came out, but they couldn't understand for about 45 minutes now why I use the term whiteness. That's interesting, don't you think?
The issue was your response.
Don't you think that's interesting?
Because when I gave you the example, I said a country of predominant.
It's not interesting.
You don't. Do you want me to answer?
You don't use it.
It's quite evident that you're not interested in having a.
I've been discussing with you for however long now. So I don't know why you would say that. I don't know why you would say that.
Doesn't matter.
I'm an intelligent, charismatic black man. You just have to deal with it, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying?
It could be that.
That's what it is.
Giving a false front.
You know what I'm saying?
It could be.
It could be.
It could be something that pushes a hidden agenda.
It really could be.
Couldn't it?
Or it just mean it could just be my African genes are just flamboyant and beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? And
so
charismatic.
there's another potential solution. There's another potential solution to this idea that you're pushing.
Yes.
Is that it's a power move and it's a scapegoat, because this idea.
What's the power move? Sorry. What's the power move?
This idea of white supremacy is something that you already said in the conversation. You couldn't tell me what a situation would look like without it. How would
I can. But sorry, what's just clarify before I answer. What's the power move? What do you mean? No.